Assalamu alaikum. My name is Anwar Ali. Welcome to another video of the playlist Learn Arabic with a Learner in English. So this is our second video and we'll be continuing to learn the Arabic alphabets. In our previous videos we learned four letters, the first four letters alif, ba, ta and tha. Today we'll be covering another three letters in Arabic which belongs to the same family, so we call it the family. So this is from here we begin the second video. So here we have Jeem, Ha and Khaa. So all of these three letters look alike, we're just separated by the placement of dot. So let's begin with the first letter of the second lesson, which is also the fifth letter in Arabic consonants. So this is pronounced as Jeem. So while the pronunciation of Jeem, we elongate G. It is not like Jim, it is Jeem, and it is equivalent to the pronunciation of English J, as in jug. So it's not Z, it's not the, it's a little bit stressed J. It's in fact it's exactly equivalent to English J. So we have to produce a strong sound just like in English J, not as in Z or Z. So it's J. Okay, so Jeem, Jeem, Jeem. Yeah, it might not be difficult for the English speakers, but for other speaker there might be variety of the sound J. So I would like to tell you that the sound is pronounced by touching the middle part of the tongue to the upper palate of the mouth. So if you try to touch the middle part of the tongue to the upper palate of the mouth and try to produce the strong sound of J, you will be able to get the sound. So J, Jeem, Jeem, Jeem. So it's pretty straightforward. It's a strong J sound produced in Arabic by touching the middle part of the tongue to the upper palate of the mouth and produce the sound Jeem. We just need to elongate the sound G for a while. Jeem. It's not Jim, it's Jeem. Okay, that's just the name of the letter, but the sound that it produces is J, J, J. Yeah. So the name of the letter is Jeem, and the sound that it produces is J. Now let us discuss how it is written. So we can see a margin. So it is shared, some part of the Jeem is shared above the margin, and some part of the Jeem is written just below the margin. Okay, then how do we start writing this? We just start, we can see there's a horizontal cap above a C-like structure. So we start from that cap, the above cap of the letter. So this time we don't start from right to left, but we start left to right, because we can see the left side of the cap is isolated while the right side of the cap is joined with the C. So in order to not to break the flow of the writing, we start from the left. So we start from the left corner of the cap. We create a parallel line just above the margin, just like shown in the figure. We just have to draw a straight line from left to right, followed by a C-like structure, a big C-like structure that ends a little bit less above the margin and has more part covered below the margin. So you can see the cap is just moved from left to right, and from the right end we start creating a C-like structure which has, let's say, around 30% of its part above the margin and 70% of its part below the margin, to end just like in English C. Now after we have created the C-like structure that ends below the margin, we just add a dot in the middle part of the C. which goes below the margin. And once we do this, we have the letter Jeem written. So once again, we start from the top left corner to create a cap, to draw a cap, horizontal cap-like structure, which is just a straight line. Once we have reached to the right side of the cap, from there we start writing C-like structure from the top to bottom, where 30% of the C is written above the line, while the 70% of the C-like structure comes below the margin. And finally, we have a dot which is placed in the middle of the C-like structure and to form the letter G. And we must note that this dot comes below the margin. So this is letter G, which produces the sound strong J, 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 just like in Arabic Jannah. So in Jannah, Jannah, which means a paradise or a garden in Arabic, starts from this letter Jeem, Jannah, J. Okay. Now let us move on to another letter, Ha. So as you can hear, it's not a simple ha, ha, just like in English. It's a little bit stressed H sound, and it is produced from the middle part of the throat. In Arabic, the sounds that we produce from the throat are produced from three areas. The first area is the upper part of the throat. The second area is the middle part of the throat. And the third area is from the lower part of the throat. So this ha is produced from the middle part of the throat, right from where our Adam's apple is located, right? The middle part of the throat. So it's similar to H sound in English, but we have to stress the sound from the middle part of the throat, that much amount of air is pushed out from the mouth or also from the throat. So just try to stress H sound from the middle part of the throat and produce the sound H. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, ha, ha. This H sound of ha is used in many places in Arabic words, like the 5 pillars of Islam. One of the 5 pillars is Hajj. So it's not simple Hajj, it's Hajj with Ha and Jeem that we just learned. The Jeem over here is the second word of the Hajj, and the first letter is Ha. So Hajj, Hajj, Hajj. So this sound, it's just like H. We just need to stress a little bit in H sound to produce it from the middle part of the throat with much amount of air being pushed out from the mouth. Yeah. So we need to make sure that our mouth is wide open and we are producing the H sound from the middle part of our throat. Yeah. Ha, 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 ha. Now writing this is just exactly same as Jeem, and the only difference is it does not have any dots. So we start from the top cap, from the left side. We draw a horizontal line that is parallel to the margin, and from the right end we start creating a C-like structure without any dot. And make sure the C structure has around 30% of its part above the margin and around 70% of the part is below the margin, and we don't have any dots. So a cap, horizontal cap followed by C, that makes our ha. So for this letter, since this is not a common letter in most of the languages, but after some practices we'll be able to pronounce this easily. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, let us move on to the third letter, which is Khaa, Khaa. Now this is also a little bit different letter. So if we try to come up with the closest English letter combination, so whenever we try to combine KH sound, Kh, 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 but in English it's a little bit without any stress, like K, K, K. Kha. But in Arabic, we have to pronounce this from the lowest end of our throat, the lowest end. So, but we need to make sure. Some of the people try to put in a lot of stress while pronouncing this, like ha, or try to vibrate the sound a lot. We need to make sure that it comes out smoothly through air or whisper with a little bit stressed sound in KH without any much vibration. Yeah, it should be vibrated a little bit. The throat vibrates a little bit, but it's not like coughing. Like, yeah, some people try to put a lot of stress just as in they are trying to cough. But the sound KH should come from the lowest end of the throat with air and whisper with a slight vibration, and trying to stress the sound Kha with Kha, 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 Kha. So it's not just simple Kha, it's Kha, Kha. Try to produce the sound from the lowest end of the throat. And the pronunciation of this and the name of this letter is Kha, Kha, Kha. Okay, just like this is Ha, Ha, and the sound is Ha. The name of this letter is Kha, and the pronunciation is Kha, Kha. Okay, so in this letter too, we need to open our mouth wide and try to produce the sound Kha from the lowest part of the throat to make it Kha, Kha, Kha. The writing style is exactly the same. We just start with the top cap, which is a horizontal line just above the margin. We start from the left corner, left top corner, and end in the right corner to make a horizontal line. And from the rightmost corner of the margin, we just create a C-like structure that ends below the line, and make sure that 30%, around 30% of the C is above the margin, and around 70% of the C is below the margin, with a dot just above the gap. So you can see the difference. In Jeem, the dot is in the C, inside the C-like structure. In Ha, there is no dot, and in Kha, a dot is placed above the gap. So this is how we separate this family. There are three letters in the family of this C-like structure with a cap. So the structure is exactly the same for all three letters, but the placement of dot. The first letter Jeem has dot in its let's say stomach, or let's say in the middle part of the C, and Ha has no dot. No dots so no dots anywhere, just the structure is sufficient for Ha. And Kha, we have dot above the cap. And regarding the placement in the throat, Jeem has no stress in the throat. It's just produced by touching the middle part of our tongue to the upper palate and trying to produce a strong J sound, just like in English J, to produce the sound jug. So it's Jeem, Jeem. This Ha, which is produced from the middle part of our throat by opening the mouth wide and producing a lot of air from our throat towards the mouth. Ha, ha. And finally, Kha is produced from the lowest end of the throat to slightly stressing the sound KH and trying to produce a sound from the lowest end of the throat without vibrating the sound too much. But we should have a slight vibration, and we should also open our mouth wide and try to produce the sound KH with a slight emphasis from the lowest end of the throat to produce the sound Kha, Kha, Kha. Okay? Yeah, so these were the three letters that we covered today. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. So altogether we have covered the 7 letters of Arabic. So soon I will be releasing another video that will cover 4 more letters with similar family. So in the next video we will be covering Dal, Dal, Ra and Za. Okay, Dal, Dal, Ra and Za. So we have covered alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha. That's the first line. The top line of the letters are covered. Now in the next video, we'll be covering half of the second line, the first four letters of the second line, dal, zal, ra, and za. So after this, we'll be continuing with the letters, and we'll soon be covering all of these letters, and then we'll start learning how to join and how to write these letters properly. So in this video I'm just introducing you to the letters. I haven't demonstrated how to write it, but while working out in the next videos, we'll be displaying exactly on how to write these letters and how to join these letters with other letters, because the letters are not isolated as shown in the chart. They are often joined with other letters, where the letters are written just half in order to join it with the other letters. So we'll be discussing those in coming videos, but firstly we need to get introduced to all of these alphabets so that we can recognize the dots, the patterns whenever it is joined. I hope you guys like the video. I'll see you guys in another video with another four letters. Till then, make a good practice of whatever we have learned, so that the coming classes will be easier for you. Till then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.